In this demonstration, I'm taking a scene and changing it around a little. The emphasis is going to be on brushwork, loose, strong brushwork, lots of juicy oil paint. If you are concerned about your brushwork and looking for ways to change it up, make it a little more perhaps abstract, a little more exciting, and get more texture and maybe a few vibrant color effects there, some by accident and some intentional. That's the beauty of this loose brushwork approach to oil painting. Well, sit back and enjoy the video because I'm going to walk you through it and discuss my approach to brushwork. Let's begin. The first big idea is to start with lots of energy. With the start of painting, you want to get in there and simply get some momentum right from the start. Put down your shapes, put on your value, colors, and composition, and do that with some vigor. It translates into an energetic painting, and that momentum is very important. A great way to do this is simply to use a big brush. Here I'm starting with a number 8 on a small panel. It's about a 10 by 12, and I have toned it with a reddish and burnt sienna mix. Maybe the color also gets one a bit more energetic than just a plain cold white canvas. So that is a tip as well. And then getting the big shapes. Like I said, I've got a composition which is very simple. It's going to be a road and there's some trees on either side, and it's all about the color, the light, the paint volume, and all of that needs a clean brush. I'm cleaning the brush every 2 to 3 strokes, and especially here where I'm using a light color and picking up some of that dark, I've got to clean the brush each time, because clean color notes is going to translate into a vibrant and fresh looking painting. If you don't do that, you're going to end up with a muddy, dull painting, and that's going to frustrate you terrifically. So you can see these sort of energetic strokes. It's pretty clear what I want to paint and how I just need to adjust the composition a little to widen the road up. And now I'm picking up some burnt sienna into that titanium white, getting the sort of light road, dirt road, into the painting. Strangely enough, most of my landscapes have a dirt road and not a paved road for some reason. Maybe dirt roads are just more interesting. So sculpt the paint. Sculpt with the paint almost as if it's wet clay. I always remind myself that oil paint is like that. It's this beautiful juicy medium that doesn't have to be put on thin. You can pick it up and scoop it up with your bristle brush and get it down in big, juicy strokes. It's a lot of fun to paint this way. So load that paint up. Here I'm painting light over dark, just to create some light behind that tree. And to do that, I need a lot of paint to overcome the dark layer beneath, so you can go straight in with some confidence and know that your paint's going to cover the surface. You don't have to constantly fight it with thin amounts of paint. So it's not about the lines. You're not painting in between the lines. It's about values. Once you've got your value structure in, like here, the shadow pattern, very important. The light more or less coming from left to right, slightly from the front. So my values must be consistent with that. And once I've got the value shape, like these dark trees and bushes on the left, they'll always remain a dark value shape. I can cut into it, I can make little sky holes, I can do all sorts of things, but overall the shape remains a dark value, and the lights, they remain pretty light as well. I can make slight variations here. The tree trunk is getting a suggestion of volume, light on the left, and getting darker as we get to the right where the shadow is. So we're layering the paint. Here I'm adding lighter notes onto the sunny side of the tree trunk. Wet over wet, thick over thin. It's all part of the Alla Prima process as well. And of course we want to build thick over thin because that helps with the whole drying process of oils as well. Not that critical with acrylics, of course. You're not going to get cracked paint as acrylic dries, but it's certainly going to help you, even with acrylics, to paint thick over thin. Getting some background color in now, the cooler violet colors suggesting a mountain in the background. Carrying that through with a few sky holes as well, which just helps to harmonize the colors throughout the painting, and suggesting details, not even describing them fully in the background, just a few shapes here or there. Now, as you can see, I brought some light behind the shadow, and I'm adding some color to the shadows. I don't want to lose the value of those shadows. They must remain darks, they must remain cool. There must be no doubt that they are shadow, but I can make them slightly colorful as well, more of a blue-violet. And I choose that color because yellows are close by, and yellows and violet play nicely together. Obviously, yellow is going to dominate, especially in the foreground. Some suggestions of the foliage of the tree. I'm not painting leaves, as you can see. I'm painting big chunks of that tree's foliage with each brushstroke. Very important to think of shapes of shadow and light instead of leaves. It's simply part of this approach to painting. It's not necessary that if you want to paint a realist tree with lots of leaves and etc., that's perfectly fine. But in this approach, we're looking for shadow and light shapes, not leaves. Breaking up the sky there with a few of those shapes as well. And the painting's coming along quite nicely. I'm starting to layer lights over the shadowy parts as well. And why is that? Because most of the shadows are going to be inside the body of the tree, as it were. The tree is, of course, a three-dimensional, more or less a round volume. So a few lights on top of the darks suggest the outside leaves. Here, adding a little switch of color temperature, some of the warm yellows with the cooler yellows. Light yellows now to also break that up. And yes, you do get warm yellows and you get cool yellows. Like I'm doing here, there's a bit more white, which is a cool color, and lemon yellow, which is a cool yellow compared to deep yellow. So with temperature, it's always comparisons. Cooler in the back, warmer in the foreground, where the sun is right in front of us, hitting the grass, of course, so that's going to be warm, or these leaves. Cooler in the shadows. Building up these layers upon layers, and it's really exciting and an interesting surface see how the painting develops. Building up also some texture on the tree trunk as well, breaking up a few of the edges so we don't have things too structured. Here a few dark accents to break up the edge between the road and the grass. You can also add a few highlights, adding a little bit of light to the utility pole, little temperature shifts in the foreground, and it's starting to pull together. But I want to get some verticals in there as well, so a thin brush coming in right at the end to suggest some utility poles down the road, lightening them up a little at the top there because of the light of the sky, and adjusting some of those hard edges, softening them up a little as well. Sign it off, and there we go. An Alla Prima painting with energetic brush strokes and plenty of paint. Well, I hope that's given you some inspiration to mix up your brushwork, perhaps move away from little brushes and detail, go into bigger brushes, bristle brushes, and put on a lot more paint. Leave your brush strokes alone so they really stand and are visible to the eye. I always say a good impressionist painting is a pleasure to look at from across the room and a pleasure to look at up close as well, because you're seeing all the texture and those happy little accidents that happen as well with the unusual color mixes that seem to happen spontaneously when you're putting on a lot of paint in a sort of vigorous style of a painting. So if you're interested in loosening up your painting, have a look on my painting school. You can find a free course for you up here and explore some of the other courses specifically aimed at impressionist and loose painting styles. And of course, subscribe to the channel. You don't want to miss the next video coming up soon. And until then, happy painting and cheers for now.